All right, welcome everybody. We'll give it probably 30 seconds, maybe a minute, just to make sure we get everybody on board here. See the numbers going up, so thank you for coming in. We appreciate that. And we'll get started here in a little bit. And this is our agenda for today. There is not two James Bakers. There is one James Baker, one David Carasco. So we'll make sure we change that here in a little bit. But I'll make sure that here's the schedule so you can take a look at it as we get ready here. We'll get started in 30 seconds. Right, as people are coming in, this is great. We appreciate everybody jumping on today. We're going to be conscious of everybody's time. Everybody's busy with the season going. So just want to make sure I pass it over here to James in a second. But first of all, thanks for coming on. This is a webinar setup, so if you do have questions, please just go into the Q&A and feel free to share any questions, certainly for James and for David. If there's any questions that pop up, make sure we answer those. And certainly if you want any more detailed information at the end, we'll make sure that we share this. This is being recorded, so you'll also be shared this information as well. But we're really excited to have James and David from My Mentor, and they're going to talk a little bit about their program and also how Illinois Youth Soccer has been using them the past year as well. So over to James and David.
Awesome. Adam, appreciate it. Excited to chat with everyone. Let me go ahead and make sure I can cleanly get my screen share going. All right. Is that showing up all right for everyone?
Yeah, it's just
Okay.
in presenter view now, so you may just have to put it into unpresenter view.
Yeah. Okay. Switch.
There you go. A two-screen switch.
Let's see.
Chris.
Is that proper now? Or is that still showing the presenter view?
I don't see anything yet.
Okay.
Adam, my apologies. I found your passcode. So
Okay.
I was in cyberspace waiting. James, nice to see you. There's actually two James, but I know which James is James.
Not a problem.
Great to see you, Chris. You okay?
Yeah.
Thanks for jumping on, Chris. I'll do some intros here. I think David and James are just going to start presenting here, so not a problem.
Okay.
Yep. Technical difficulties, classic. Bear with me. There we go. Okay. Now is that showing up properly?
Just coming up now. Yes.
Perfect. It's all yours.
Okay. Perfect. Well, again, thank you to Adam for giving us a platform to speak to you all. Excited to chat a little bit more about My Mentor. Again, my name is David. I'm the US sales manager here for My Mentor. Also have James Baker, the managing director. So James, just want to give a quick intro for yourself before we get going.
Yeah, cool. Yep. No, thank you to Adam and the program that we've done with yourselves this past sort of 12 months. I am James Baker. I was the founder and sort of managing director of My Mentor, and happily have introduced David recently to My Mentor in terms of the US expansion, whilst we continue to grow and enhance what we do. So David will get into a lot of the what we do and how we do it, and I'll hand back over to him. But a pleasure to be in and looking forward to answering any questions you have.
Awesome. Thank you, James. Again, my name is David, US sales manager. Also think it's also worth mentioning, I walk in a lot of your guys' shoes, every single day. So in my free time, when I'm not working for My Mentor, I coach. I'm in Columbus, Ohio, coach for a Club Ohio. Grew up in Iowa, right next to you guys. Some of you may know Iowa Soccer Club on the east side of Iowa. grew up playing ODP as well. So day to day, very familiar with what you guys all go through, which also just lends itself to working with this platform. So as we see here, Illinois ODP has been working with my mentor. So we'll touch on that a little bit as we go through this. And really, what's the purpose of this today? And so what we want to do for you all is to showcase how clubs can use my mentor to enhance coach and player development. So for today, what we will be going through, we've done the about, we'll jump into why my mentor. We'll touch on the platform, a few core features, just touch on a couple case studies, what that impact for IYSA can be. Then James will jump live into the demo, the good stuff where we can get under the hood and show you the platform itself, and then just talk, what's next. So, about my mentor. So ultimately, who are we? What do we do? We are the global leader in coach education. We are trusted by organizations such as Aston Villa, Surf Soccer Nation, the DPL. And for some of you, if you're anything like myself, if I ever get some free time, I try and go hit the golf ball around a little bit because the body's breaking down. So it's also great that we work with the PGA. So our mission ultimately is to equip coaches with holistic tools that positively impact athletes across all levels. We know that there are various types of clubs, all shapes and sizes. So we want to equip all of those clubs, which then leads into the scalability. Again, regardless of club size, whether you've got thousands of players, few hundred players, platform that you're in, we can provide the platform to unify learning under one education hub. So before we move on, would love to, just hear from anyone that's on the webinar, a couple questions here. What platforms, and you can drop this in the chat, what platforms do your clubs currently use for coach education? Or how does your club share philosophies, game models, your principles? And then what are some of the top challenges your club faces regarding coach education? So feel free to drop that into the chat, just so it's not myself and James just talking at you guys for 20, 30 minutes. Perfect. So moving on, why my mentor? So again, this is something where for my day-to-day as a coach, I'm walking in your shoes. I see these. I've been coaching in Columbus for about 10 years now. So why my mentor? So some common challenges that we see, consistency, being able to have consistent education tracking across a club, the tracking itself, being able to track who's doing what type of materials they're consuming, fractured learning and communication environments, as we'll touch on here down in one of the examples. And then time. We know that there's very little time for in-person coaching education, as well as just your day-to-day as a coach, especially for coaches that might not be full-time, coming from full-time jobs. It takes a lot of time to do these things. So our solutions at My Mentor, on-demand learning hub, as we'll show and touch on with the case study with Aston Villa, the education hub provides that on-demand learning. Accredited pathways for all coaching content. Analytics. So for those that are running the platform, you can see who is doing what, how much they are doing. And then obviously consolidation of platforms. So a couple examples that I've seen in my day-to-day interactions as a coach and now with my mentor, having conversations with clubs is, number one, how do you know which coaches to invest in? For example, we know that there are always coaches that may come to a club, a DOC, a technical director, and say, hey, I would like to get my D license. I would like to get my C license. Can you cover that? Can you pay for that? And so I know one of the questions is, well, how do we know who to invest in? And so this is where a platform such as My Mentor, with the analytics and the tracking would allow you to look at the coaches who are already investing in themselves. It makes it much easier as a DOC or technical director to say, you know what, yeah, we will invest in this coach because this coach is doing these courses, is looking at the content versus other coaches that may be dropping the ball. Another example would be, and this is something that I've seen in a few clubs that I've worked with. You might have your club game model and principles on PowerPoint. You may be sending videos via email. You might be communicating via text message, email, other platforms that are out there. I know there's a million of them. You might have match day and roster planning on Excel spreadsheets. And so this is where the platform can also help consolidate that, create education hub where you can communicate all of these pieces of content and communicate around them as well in one centralized location. Next, the platform itself. So we'll just touch on these, but I think the best part will be when James can jump into the demo. But just some core features here is our content library, and as I'm sure I'm gonna steal this from James, we want to be the Netflix for coaching education. So as you'll see with the platform, our content library is fantastic. My groups, where you can create groups of coaches, of people that are working in specific groups, whether it's a specific age group, staff, boys, girls, whatever it may be, the ability to customize those groups so that you can have targeted, relevant information and communication around that information. Assessments, where coaches can go through and take an assessment, and then you can look at that. And then analytics, as we mentioned, this is great for DOCs, technical directors, club admins who are running the platform, allows you to see who's doing what, when they're doing it, how much they are doing it. And then access gives you flexible access. And this is fantastic. Any device, anywhere, you have access to the My Mentor platform, which we know as coaches, in the evenings or in the mornings, before training, after training, it might be on the laptop. But then tournament weekends, games, might have the laptop with you, a tablet or your phone. And then also just ensures that learning is always flexible and continuous. So just some case studies, just 3 here, but we will also send these through afterwards, and James can touch on these a little bit more. But Aston Villa, so we have a unified education hub with Aston Villa doing some great work there. Also have some more Premier League teams coming online shortly, but for now have to keep that under wraps. We're really excited about that. The DPL Development Player League have league-wide rollout. Actually, just had some announcements come out this week about renewing our partnership and some updates to the platform. And then Surf Soccer Nation, massive organization. We have 700 plus coaches engaged in the content, and they've built out custom US content for the club. So impact for Illinois. So far we've been working with Adam, his staff, and Illinois ODP. And so just a couple of things here. It's certainly more expansive than this, but we've really distilled it down into a couple of points here. But so what do we have? What's the impact? So coaches engaging more consistently with learning. Standardized resources shared across teams, which ultimately results in players benefiting more from aligned coaching messages. At the end of the day, we all do this because we love coaching, working with youth athletes. And at the end of the day, it helps us get better and impact the players. So what are the opportunities for IYSA clubs? Consistency. Again, consistent coach education statewide. With your own club, consistency across your club. For if a club has their own game model, game idea, principles, you have consistency across your club. Community, building that shared learning community, where again, all your coaches, all your staff, from those that are on the field to those that are off the field, helps you create that community of standards. And then holistic care, right? Improving holistic player care across the entire club. So with that, I've been rambling enough. We can get under the hood. So I'll pass it off to James so that James can dive into the platform. Let me go ahead.
Thank you very much. I should be able to do it, I think. Cool. So
Seamless.
yeah. I'd say it's trained, but I'd be actually telling a slight lie there. In terms of, okay, the live demo. So my mentor, what we've done over the last sort of 5 or 6 years, and probably expanded from where Chris probably saw us pre-COVID, is that we've built out a library of content that coaches can come and access for free or as part of a pay-as-you-go or as a membership. And the reason for showing you is obviously the visual that obviously David alluded to. That kind of Netflix, the idea of being familiar to people when they come in there. The idea is you can get anywhere you want to go within 1 or 2 clicks. And we support the whole coach. So we're trying to develop a holistic library that supports the coaches. And the guys we work with, in typical our mentors, applied at the highest level, whether that's England national team, women's national team, or at the Premier League and stuff like that. So these guys are not only applied at the top end, but they're also academically underpinned by working in universities and stuff like that. So that's where we get our content from, just to say it's not our opinions, and then we sort of build that out to make it to come to life, really. And I'll get into a little bit about that in a minute. But how does this look for a club or a different organisation? And if I go in here, I can show certain things, but not too deep. But obviously, towards the end of this presentation, we'll allude to how we can go further with a more personalised demonstration for your club or organisation. If we just come in, I will not do that one. 2 seconds. Wherever my email is, there it is. So as you come in, you can start to get a real impact. We can affect and make it stand out for a organization in terms of their branding and guidelines and bring it to life for them. So in here, and whilst we are coach education, you'll start to see there's actually content in here for the players as well. There's also parent education and stuff like that. So it can become that unified platform that David just sort of touched on. In here is a library of content, our content that sits in here that gets great reviews. It also did with Adam and the ODP program, and also with Surf Nation. So our content as part of the white label packaging does come across. How much of that is entirely up to your organization and perhaps the areas you want to develop. But essentially, this is the content. If we go into, just for example, one of our newest modules that we released, overcoming failure in sport, the tracking and everything else leaves you off from where you resume from where you left off, essentially. So you got your lessons on the left, and this is typically how we do our content. And as you're going through, you start to see the content. Again, flexible on mobile, but also tablet as well. There's always the ability to submit your reflections. Like I said, it's underpinned by research and studies, but not too much. Just enough to give you some good context that it's good information. It's backed by research and stuff like that, and some video content to bring stuff to life. And you keep working your way through the content, and that's a typical way that the information can be shared. And if we go back one more, in terms of, you can also share your typical stuff like your practices and stuff like that. So you can come in here and get your information. Each coach can download and take it away from them as well. That can be similar like we did with Adam and the team, where we had a course looking at the coaches and having a soccer parent and providing information. There was a resource download that they use about the drive home. So 5 questions that you could use on the drive home in terms of sharing with the parents as well. So this is my mentor in terms of the front end of the library, and to the comment around the community side of it. You also have this feed. So think Facebook, think everything that you have on social media. If you're a part of a lot of groups that you might be as a DOC or technical director, then you're going to see that the feed is populating with new information. That's a great way just to stay in touch 24/7, almost connected to your coaches and what's going on with your club. You can also start to build out these more areas that are defined and private to the individuals invited. So in here, we'd have the athlete mentoring program. So these are all the under 18 scholars at Aston Villa, where we're running a mentoring program with them for them to be able to mentor the younger age groups inside the academy itself. So they're invited to that and they can see that. Without going too much into detail, but you've got the Academy Hub. So this is every staff member across the club at Aston Villa. They're in here and they're utilising the system to share updates, whether it's the player care, whether it's the education team around apprenticeships and more formal education, or whether it's the coaches themselves sharing stuff where they've seen something on social media and they're just reposting in here. So that's the beauty of the system in terms of where we've developed and adapted over the last sort of 18 months, is that we can then start to bring this to life. And then if we look at another example of an organisation utilising my mentor, you've got the DPL. So this is actually being relaunched, and all the coaches will be uploaded later today. So you're seeing a bit of an exclusive here, but this is the rebranding to new content that they've got. We're going to have groups off the back of that as well. And then finally, just to show you this one, where we've got the Surf Nation again, just showing you examples of how it can look and feel. We've actually worked with Surf to bring out some actual surf content for themselves. Looking at YG Coach, just some sort of standards around that. How does it look and feel? To branding, and they send us the content and we bring it to life on their behalf. If I go back one more. And then we've got the football directors course, which is a bespoke course for them. Cohorts are in here. You've got these types of groups that you can use. So you can really have as many groups as you like. It can be for players and something that we're exploring for the new season with the ODP program and Adam. It can have parents in there. You could have whoever you like in there, really, or sports science, etc., etc. So it can become a really nice place. But everyone that's invited to a group can share content as well, and that's the beauty of it. So the library is quite voice and choice. Go to the areas of development that you're looking to improve on yourself, your game models and stuff like that. But equally, then the groups and feeders are a place where all coaches, once invited to a group, can start to share content as well. In terms of just the back end, give you a sense of that. You've also got your My Learning, which is a dashboard for each coach or each member that's utilizing the system. They can download that and submit it. And if we go one further, we can then start to look down in the analytics and stuff like that. So if we go to analytics, you get a snapshot. Again, conscious that I don't want to share too much in terms of people's emails and stuff. Again, you can start to see the information in the courses and what's going on. Resources, similar sort of thing. These will be your webinars, your interviews, your session plans, and you can start to get a sense of what's popular and what's not in terms of the content. And if I click on the arrow here, you then see the individuals who have downloaded or viewed it multiple times. So that's, I guess, real snapshot, just to give you an insight into the system itself. How does it work? How can it look? And as I said, the content we can support with, or you might likely have some share folders or areas where you have content that may be sent, as has been alluded to on email and stuff, where this could all be housed, and then you can start to see who's doing what, and hopefully not in too many cases who needs sometimes a bit of a stick. I'll hand back to you, David.
Awesome. Let me jump back in. All right. That's showing up for everyone again. Okay, perfect. What's next? So from here, obviously we went through this. We're able to give you a quick snapshot. So from here, the first step would be for those that are interested, we can certainly look to book a one-on-one demo. What that allows us to do is learn a little bit more about your club, size, team, staff, current platforms, and then really tailor the demo to help you understand how we can set the platform up for your club. So with that, here shortly, I will share two links. One will be to a Google survey interest form where just gather a few pieces of information on our end, and then we can connect. I will also share a link directly to my calendar where you can just find 30 minutes that works for you, and then just book directly to my calendar. At this point, we have a limited time offer. So for any clubs that are interested and do sign up for a demo and end up purchasing my mentor by the 26th, at the end of the day, we'll receive the IYSA discount. So that is the last Friday of the month. So next steps, a couple more things. So onboarding. So obviously it's not just, hey, thanks for buying the platform. Good luck getting set up. We want to make sure that we set you up for success. Obviously these things take time, these things take money, and this is a partnership. So onboarding, how do we set your club up for success and support? How do we support continued success? So James, if you just want to jump in and just touch a little bit on, what that onboarding process looks like, and then, ongoing support.
Yeah, for sure. So onboarding, and as alluded to, is a partnership. So it is very much a working relationship where we want to learn from you in terms of the system, in terms of getting you upset, getting you set from day one. What content do you want from day one off the shelf, potentially from my mentor, or what content do you need support with in terms of a creation or anything like that? So a bigger part of, and I just saw a bit of a Q&A question in there, a bigger part of what we do as well is around actually customizing content on behalf. I know I shared a little bit around surf, but we work with universities here where we create all their curriculums. We actually do some stuff around creating bespoke programs for like the Commonwealth Games and the Professional Golfers Association that was touched on earlier. So we can do that as well. It is very much understanding what your needs are from day one. What does your short-term, medium, and long-term goals look like for a platform and education? And then we work with you on that. So we'll get the platform set up to what you want it to look and feel like. We'll support with design and thumbnails as well. And then we'll start to integrate the coaches, which might start on a brief just to full-time coaches. It might then open up to your part-time, and then it might even open up to your volunteer coaches, then parents and players and stuff like that. So it's very much a hand-holding process, and we'll learn with you through that process of what's working and what's not. So onboarding, yeah, as and when you're ready, we'll trigger the live button and work with you to onboard the coaches. Support continued. So from a not only support mechanism, there's emails that you can attach and speak to. Me and David are normally the principal sort of people that will support as well, and will work with you on solutions. Outside of all of that, the platform today will look very different next week and the week after because it's continually to evolve. And part of that support is that we listen to you around, perhaps you could think of it this way, it's more seamless if we did this with the user, then we'll look at that and try and implement that. If it's something that is club wide across all of our organizations that would be a benefit, then we can look to incorporate that development into the platform itself. So the groups and feed was something that came out of Aston Villa, but also a number of clubs saying that the communication bit online was something that was missing and we thought could enhance the system. Therefore, we rolled out that idea. So we invested back into the system, rolled out the groups and feed at the back end of last season, and now it's fully in place and being a great enhancement that many clubs are looking at and utilising. And I think that's a community access as well. So the only other thing I didn't touch on is just to give you a glimpse of which I should have led with really, is the ODP program in the Midwest and Illinois, more importantly. So just to give you a sense of the platform itself, we've got a series of coaching resources that support those in the program. I think our current feedback is around about 4.5, 4.7 out of 5 in terms of courses. And that touches on the feedback. And what I mean by that is in the back end, when we talk about feedback, Adam, I'll pick on you, so you better have give us a good one. Art of observation. So just some feedback around the questions and stuff like that. Adam gave us a 4. That's disappointing. No, I'm joking. But in general, it's
always room for improvement. Always room for improvement.
No, it's just a great way to get a sense of how important the content was, how relevant was to the coach himself and the role they're doing. And is there anything else you're struggling with that we can look to incorporate in our content roadmap as well as obviously a technical roadmap? So that's how the ODP program. As I said, the coaches have been brilliant on that and give us some great feedback. And we're looking at what content might look like for the new season as well. So that was just to give you a sense of that. Oh, again, hand you back to a seamless handover to David.
Yeah, let me just share this and we can wrap. So we'll come back to Q&A. Really just want to jump here and then we'll open it up. But so keep an eye out. So we will get some information out to everyone. And then I did drop the links in the chat, 2 links to that interest form so that we can connect, or if you just would like to book directly to my calendar. I really, again, just want to say thank you to Adam and his staff, Illinois ODP and IYSA for giving us the platform to speak with you all today. So yeah, with that, happy to open it up to any questions that anybody has.
Awesome. I think you kind of answered one that was already in there in terms of how bespoke it can be in terms of catering for the groups. I did have one question myself. What would you say is the most popular module that you utilize? There you go. I put you on the spot.
Wow. I would say decision making in football has always been a really popular one. Uh,
Hmm.
we actually did the content at St George's Park here in the UK.
Hmm.
Working with a pro coach, and we've got loads of videos and sessions with that one. And it's got a lot of underpinning because decision making is one of the exciting bits of football that can easily go wrong, and there's many decisions to be made. So it's quite an interesting course, that one.
Great. That's fantastic. Awesome. And again, we'll be happy to share everything out in terms of that. Do have another question that popped in. What support does this platform offer to educate parents in terms of how we coach, develop versus winning game models, etc.?
So we do have a course for parents, and we review it very much, and leaning on a good mentor of mine from a US perspective, and Ian Barker, was to look at it from a soccer parent, not a parent. We're not teaching you how to be parents, that's for sure, but we're just giving you some guidance around how to be a better sport or soccer parent in this context. So that is a course. We've used some of it for the ODP program in Illinois in terms of a coach's perspective and how to sort of bring the parents along. Um, but equally, some of the stuff there around game models and stuff like that, that's stuff that is obviously quite personable to the club and the organisation. But we can work with you to bring that to life, or we can work with you and some of our mentors to support and obviously strategize that document for you as well. So, yeah, I guess from an education point and parents,
Hmm.
there are courses already in place. In terms of development versus winning and stuff like that, that's a great debate. Yeah, we can help and try and shape that based on what your values and organization mission is, basically.
Tremendous, yeah. And one thing I can certainly say, obviously, being part of US soccer process in terms of teaching courses and the language that's used in that, it is very, very close to what the language is being used within all the modules within my mentor. So there's a lot of similarities, a lot of information that can certainly be overlaid as well as we go through it. Great, fantastic. Appreciate it. Thanks, gents. Thank you so much. Sorry, David, for not getting your name on the sheet, but two James Bakers is always good. It's always better than one.
Oh, I
So
don't
it's always
know.
good. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. Before we get to Chris Jamrozy, I want to introduce Chris Bentley very, very quickly, and hopefully he can say a quick hello and just talk a little bit about his new role. But really appreciate Chris jumping on as the Director of Coaching Education for US Youth Soccer. And certainly we work closely together on a few things, and I'm really, really excited about his position and already the things that he's doing. So, Chris, if you want to say a quick hello and tell me how things are going.
Yeah, thanks for the introduction, Adam. It's nice to see people on the call that I'm also familiar with here, just even in the video. So it's been a blessing so far in terms of being in the role. I see very much a ton of possibility here in terms of how US Soccer is integrating with their members and trying to make change here. It's a huge contrast from what it was 15 years ago, as an example, or shoot, even a couple years ago. So really excited there. As Adam alluded to, my responsibility is really to collaborate with him and his colleagues at the state level to try to scale things so that we can make things more applicable and usable for all ages and stages. So it's not just about an ODP player, it's also about the player that's 4 to 6 years old that is currently underserved in our country in a big way. So having experts like Adam and my job then becomes exponentially easier, which is pretty exciting. I'm really blessed to be able to work around some wonderful people. Really excited about the progress we can make together and start to make some real change because I think our country's ready for that. And I think that's very clear in what everyone is saying these days. There was actually an article that just came out in The Athletic here this morning that is alluding to that. I think we're all ready to make change and the timing is right, and we're all on board to make things happen together.
Yeah, it was funny. It was interesting you mentioned that. I just read the article. It just came out this morning. You had a few quotes in there. So I'll maybe even throw that into the chat as well in terms of the article. But it is talking a little bit about the progress that's being made. Certainly talking about the US way and everything else that detailing all of those things. So Chris, thanks for jumping on today and saying hello. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Awesome. All right. I'm going to throw it over to Chris Jamrozy in our office, who's going to share some information on upcoming events.
Yeah, not too much. Just some reminders for those teams participating in any of the fall cups of some upcoming important dates. On the September 8th is when all game changes are due, so we can get the Rockford times all finalized and posted by the 12th. Also by September 8th, all teams need to have their initial rosters into Got Sport. You can still make changes prior to your first game, but we need those initials rostered in there so we can check for duplicate players and things like that. Marketing graphics will be ready by the end of the week, and teams will get emailed when those are ready for them. We've just been delayed a little bit with getting those posted, unfortunately. So that's kind of it for the fall events. A couple other things just to keep on your radar. Award nominations for the annual Illinois Youth Soccer Awards are due by September 12th. For coaches, this would be a great time to recognize a team admin or a volunteer or a parent that you think is outstanding, so that we can recognize them in the state, and hopefully they can receive some recognition beyond just Illinois. And then looking forward to the spring, we'll have our standard competitions offered, but we are also looking at adding a 12U 11v11 cup competition for the spring based on feedback from many of you. So that information will be ready in November. And then just to remind those that may not have are participating in the fall events, in terms of overall changes for the cup competitions, both the state event and the President's Cup event. A lot more details concerning the change to the U.S. Youth Soccer National Championships are now available, including dates and locations and things like that. So going forward, if you win state cup, we are going right to this new national championship event. There'd be two tiers. Illinois is in the top tier. So from a competition level for the teams that have been there before, shouldn't be too different for you, other than probably some additionally competitive games and some more opportunities for teams. And the President's Cup is mostly staying the same. The size of the regionals is shrinking in terms of footprint and states that you play against, but they're still, you go to a shorter regional and then to a national event. So if you have any questions about any of those things upcoming or need help as you prep for the fall, don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Katie.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. And again, feel free to throw any information into the Q&A. If you've got anything for us, we'll be happy to answer those questions for you as we go through. And some people already asked as well concerning the recording. Yes, there will be a recording of this, so not a problem. We will send this out. We'll post this on YouTube and then also send it out to everybody that was part of this as they go through. Fantastic. So just a couple of things here on my end in terms of just kind of reminders from a coaching education standpoint. If you're not already in the US Soccer Learning Center, you're behind times. We need to make sure everybody's got that profile, making sure that we're utilizing all of that as we need to. And I can assist you. So if you need older licenses added, those of you who have those old E's and D's back in the day, we can add those. Anything higher than those licenses has to go through US Soccer. So just be conscious of that. And then as a reminder, this has been something that's been pushed through for the last couple of years now. We've been very busy making sure that we meet all of the needs for all of our coaches, but making sure we really push this 6-hour time slot here in terms of getting that education for your coaches who are going to be coaching at the competitive level. I think this is such a big one. We appreciate the help of the leagues to be able to push through this. But ultimately, we want to make sure that we're creating the best environments for our players, making the best environments for also for the people on the sideline. And again, every time we teach that course, and Marek, myself, and Mick, who've been teaching the courses, and with additional coaches as well, coach educators, we get such positive vibes from that. So we want to continue to do that. So make sure if you have that information, let us know. All right, just a couple of things here. Courses coming up. So if you're still needing some coaches to get into some courses, I'm actually doing one tonight in the beautiful town of Sterling. So going out west a little bit. But All Park, September the 4th, that's tomorrow. That's an all in person. So you can knock it all out in 4 hours. And we also have another course in Peoria. So if you need any coaches to jump on there, please let me know. We'll be happy to get them through that course. Again, we're happy to host. The information is always there for you. So just reach out to me at doc@illinoisUSoccer.org. We're always happy to host in any way, shape, or form. So don't hesitate to reach out as needed. So just a couple of updates from the national licensing in terms of how everything's going. So looking at upcoming courses. So we're currently just finishing off a D license, started a D license in Southern Illinois. We will be starting one in October. Our next D license details will be coming out here in the next few days. So just be conscious of that. That will run through into November. So be conscious of the training days, especially for the 2 in-person weekends. So look out for that very quickly. Our C license, we have a C license currently going on. So we'll also have another C license starting in February 2026. That'll be up in Rockford. So if you do have coaches that have an interest, please make sure you reach out to me, stay in contact with me. We'll be doing those applications here very, very soon. B license that we've been running as well is currently in motion. We've then also put an application in to host 2 more B licenses next year. So we'll host one again, hopefully in January. We're just waiting for approval on that. So again, stay in touch with us concerning the B license. And then I did have a few questions on the A license. Now the youth has already gone and passed, but there is a senior license that's open for those people that might have an interest in going through that process. Notice that this is run by US Soccer. So this is not run by the state. So you're going to go through the application process through US Soccer. Applications open through till mid-September. You can see the virtual meetings as well in December that starts, and that's a year-long process. So just be conscious of that in terms of the timing if you do have an interest. And then a couple additional courses. There is a goalkeeper C license that's open right now. So that's a virtual start of October the 14th. So just be conscious of that. In-person meeting there in Bradenton, Florida, November 15th through 17th. So if you have an interest and are working with goalkeepers primarily, go into the US Soccer Learning Center. Please make sure you sign up for that. And then a course that's really dear to my heart, and I certainly to Chris as well, is the Club Technical Leadership course. We think this is one of the most powerful courses out there. We will be running another course in the spring next year. I've already gotten a lot of interest, so we're really excited about that. But again, for those of you who are technical directors, DOCs, certainly people in there, make sure that you sign up for that one. That'll be coming out again in February time as well. And as a reminder, we're here. We're here to help you. So I know we're always there, willing to come out and talk with clubs. There's a couple of pictures there of some of the things that we've done with different groups. We'll run all kinds of different information that we can potentially utilize for you. We've done Coach for Community. We've also done just any general information that you need that you provide. We will bespoke it and make it for you, whatever you need. So I know I was able to meet with a few clubs over the preseason, do some presentations. Hopefully they were well received. I didn't get any negative feedback, so that's a positive. So if there's anything that you need, reach out. We'll be happy to do that. Marek, myself, and Mick will be willing to go out there as we go through. So appreciate any information there. I know I had a quick question there on concerning USSF licenses, and I always put this up here. There is no formal CPD CEUs yet. That potentially might be something down the road, but be conscious of that. So those of you who have A licenses or B licenses, you don't necessarily have to do anything to continue to renew those, but we do strongly encourage you to go into all of the supplemental resources that we have. One of those being the US Soccer Learning Center, which has a lot of really good articles that you can potentially utilize, as well as reaching out to us. Again, we're happy to do things that for you as we go through the process. And also, if you do have questions, if there is some administrative stuff that you need potentially with background searches, or maybe a license added or anything, those types of things, I can only do so much, but I can certainly guide you through that process. If it's something bigger that I can't do, you see the email there. That's coaches@ussoccer.org. So reach out to those as needed. And also, if you are interested in going into a course that is maybe aligned with something that you've had previously, whether it be a UEFA license that you have, or a CAF license, whatever it may be, there's a waiver process. So you can go through that process. That's done directly through US Soccer. Just want to give you an idea. It takes typically around about 6 weeks. So think about that if you are looking at adding maybe some US Soccer licenses to your already full plate. So just be conscious of that as you go through. Okay. I'll pause here for a second. There's a couple of questions here in the chat. So hopefully the USF licenses, that can give you an idea of where we're at. So nothing has gone through there. Yeah, and thanks, Brian, for information there concerning the My Mentor. So appreciate that. Also had a couple of questions and certainly concerning future educators. So people who are interested in going or becoming an educator in our pathway within US Soccer, there is a process to this. This is something that we're really focusing on within this pathway, is this whole idea of making sure of you meeting the profile, right? So it's not just consistent. We want to be consistent. We want to make sure that you're aware of what you should be doing to prepare yourself to be an educator. So in terms of the responsibilities, and I'll give you the application deadline and information as well, but ultimately we want you to be active. We want you to be part of our process. We want you to be listening in, as well as heavily involved in any type of coaching education that we're doing within Illinois Youth Soccer. So hopefully this gives a little bit more clarity in terms of where we're looking at in terms of the profile. Do you fall into those areas? The reflection piece is a big one. You know, are you able to reflect on a consistent basis, not only after training sessions, but I think also during training sessions with the what people that you're working with everybody that you're around. I think it's really important. Plus, obviously, embracing the commitment from US Soccer to raising standards. We want to make sure our standards are at the level that they need to be. We want to make sure that all of the coaches are working with their coaches within systems to be able to go through that process. So that's really, really important. So a little bit on kind of my process in terms of if you have an interest. I know some of you have already emailed me and expressed some interest. I'll add you to kind of my email larger group, but be conscious of what's needed. And one thing that we strongly suggest you do, dependent on the courses that you are wanting to enter, is specifically be part of the process. So come in and observe virtually and in person, okay? Because that is something that you can potentially do just to get a feel of everything is. Some of those higher licenses, we may need to get some permission from US Soccer in terms of going through that process, but we want you to be able to watch and see how things work out as they go through. Some of you who have an interest, that gives you an idea of the application window. So we've got a little bit of time in terms of when you think you can do it. So we've got courses that are going to be running all the way through until December. So jump onto some of those courses, pop me a note, and then hopefully you can observe. So virtually almost every other night we're doing something. So whether it be myself, Marek, or Mick, you'll be able to jump on and listen into what's happening. Okay. All right. And then just finally, ODP. So we're really excited to have our Olympic Development Program starting up. So registration is now open September the 1st. So one thing that we do ask in terms of technical questions and anything that we have concerning ODP, feel free to drop a note to Marek. I think hopefully if he's still on here, he can drop his email into the chat as well. But feel free to reach out to him in terms of any type of meetings potentially that he can do for your club. So we want to make sure that the information's out there for you, exactly what ODP is, and he'll be happy to come in, whether it be virtually or even in person, to be able to meet with clubs and groups. So I know there is a Google form out there as well that we'll make sure that you have in your hands as well. But again, we want to make sure that you're aware of what ODP is. And then ultimately, this gives you an idea of the process, right? So everybody, I think, is pretty familiar now with the process and being part of it. And what's really nice about our proven pathway, it is really truly the best way to be able to identify players. And we can go through that process of at the state level to the regional level to the national level. And with more and more work now going on with US Soccer, there's going to be a lot more identification of these players. So we're working hand in hand now, thanks to Chris and some of the collaborations going on. We're going to be able to really identify players who are going to be able to then potentially represent our national teams through US Soccer. So we're really excited about that. Lots of different opportunities, different states. This runs supplemental to your club programming, so be conscious of that. We're always going to be conscious of your schedules, your club schedules, things that are going on. But we want to make sure that there's an opportunity for those players and certainly for you to be able to promote them as well within your clubs and information. So great. Well, a little bit under an hour, which is fantastic. So we really appreciate all of the time that you spent with us. We will be back again in December. So again, we'll plan on another virtual meeting. Thank you for all of you who've stuck on. And again, feel free to reach out if there's anything that we can do. We'll be happy to do that. We'll have a couple of guest speakers in as well for that virtual winter meeting. And if we can do anything for you, we're here. My email's there. Don't hesitate to reach out. Marek just threw his into the chat as well. We're here. We appreciate your time. And thanks so much for being here today. And good luck with your seasons. Make sure that you score a bunch of goals, but try to concede less. That's all you got to do. All right. Take care, everyone. See you soon. Bye-bye.